How one company quietly took control of the global chip industry. Imagine if one company could stop Apple from making iPhones, stop Nvidia from building AI chips, stop Tesla from producing new cars, and even slow down entire countries. It doesn't own the biggest factories. It doesn't sell smartphones. Most people have never even heard its name. Yet without this company, modern technology would almost come to a halt. This is the unbelievable story of ASML, the company that quietly became one of the most important businesses on Earth. Every year, billions of computer chips are produced. They power almost everything around you. Your phone, your laptop, your car, your TV, even your washing machine. But before any of those chips can exist, one incredibly complicated machine has to do its job. Only one company in the world knows how to build it. That company is ASML. Based in the Netherlands, ASML doesn't make chips. Instead, it builds the machines that other companies use to manufacture the world's most advanced semiconductors. And these aren't ordinary machines. Each one can cost hundreds of millions of dollars, weighs around 180 metric tons, and contains well over 100,000 individual components, sourced from suppliers around the world. If ASML stopped shipping tomorrow, the world's most advanced chip production would eventually slow dramatically. But how did a relatively unknown Dutch company end up becoming one of the most strategically important businesses in the global economy? The story begins in 1984. At the time, the semiconductor industry looked very different. American and Japanese companies dominated the market. Europe had talent, but it lacked a leader. That's when two Dutch companies decided to create a small joint venture focused on lithography systems, a technology used to project intricate circuit patterns onto silicon wafers during chip manufacturing. The new company was called ASML. In its early years, success was far from guaranteed. Resources were limited, competition was fierce, and many industry observers doubted a small European newcomer could challenge established giants. Yet ASML kept improving its technology, generation after generation. Rather than competing on price alone, it focused on solving engineering problems others struggled to overcome. That long-term approach would eventually change the entire semiconductor industry. By the early 1990s, ASML had survived, but surviving wasn't enough. If it wanted to compete with companies far larger than itself, it needed something revolutionary. That revolution had a name: extreme ultraviolet lithography, or simply EUV. The idea sounded almost impossible. Instead of using traditional light to print microscopic circuits onto silicon, engineers wanted to use light with an incredibly short wavelength, allowing manufacturers to build much smaller, far more powerful chips. There was just one problem. Nobody knew how to build a reliable machine that could do it. For years, engineers around the world tried. Many failed. Some believed it would never work. But ASML kept going, investing billions of dollars over decades, working with universities, research labs, and hundreds of specialized suppliers. Every breakthrough created a new obstacle. Every solution revealed another challenge. Building an EUV machine wasn't like building a car. It was like building a spacecraft, then asking it to perform surgery. The mirrors inside had to be polished so perfectly that imperfections measured in atoms could ruin the process. The laser system had to fire tens of thousands of times per second. Tiny droplets of molten tin had to be struck with astonishing precision to generate the extreme ultraviolet light needed for production. Even dust became an enemy. A single invisible particle could destroy an expensive silicon wafer. Entire systems had to run inside a near-perfect vacuum. Years passed. Costs kept rising. Critics questioned whether ASML was chasing an impossible dream. Then everything changed. When the first commercial EUV systems finally entered the market, they completely changed the economics of semiconductor manufacturing. Suddenly, chip makers could keep shrinking transistors. That meant faster smartphones, more powerful graphics cards, better artificial intelligence, more efficient data centers, entirely new generations of technology. Companies like Apple, Nvidia, AMD, Intel, Samsung, and TSMC all depended on one thing: ASML's machines. Without them, manufacturing the world's most advanced chips became extraordinarily difficult. Here's the detail that makes ASML unlike almost any other company in the world. It holds what is, for now, a global monopoly on EUV lithography machines, not a dominant market share, not a leading position. The only company on the planet that can build and sell them. That's not an accident. It's the result of decades of accumulated expertise, patents, and a supply chain so specialized that no competitor, not in the United States, not in Japan, not in China, has been able to replicate it. A single EUV machine depends on components from hundreds of suppliers across dozens of countries. One supplier makes the mirrors, polished to a precision so extreme that if you scaled one of those mirrors to the size of Germany, the largest bump on its surface would only be a few millimeters tall. Another supplier makes the laser system, another builds the vacuum chambers. No single country owns this supply chain. ASML is the only company that has managed to bring all of it together. That's exactly why governments started paying very close attention. Because ASML's machines are so essential to advanced chip production, they've become a strategic choke point in the growing technological rivalry between major powers, particularly the United States and China. In recent years, the Dutch government, under pressure and coordination with allies, has restricted exports of ASML's most advanced systems to certain markets, citing national security concerns. That single policy decision illustrates something remarkable. A machine built in a small country in Western Europe has become powerful enough to influence global trade policy and international relations. Reports indicate the restrictions have shaped how ASML plans its sales and how competing nations plan their entire semiconductor strategies. The exact figures and specific export rules have changed multiple times as policy evolved, and which is a detail worth double-checking against current reporting before this video is finalized. So what happens next? Competing nations are now investing enormous sums trying to build their own advanced lithography capabilities. Some of these efforts are years, possibly decades, behind ASML's technology. Meanwhile, demand for advanced chips keeps growing, driven by artificial intelligence, cloud computing, electric vehicles, and next-generation consumer electronics. That means ASML's position, at least for the foreseeable future, remains extraordinarily secure. Not because it's the biggest company in the world, not because it makes a product people buy directly, but because it solved a problem almost nobody else could solve and turned that solution into one of the most important choke points in the global economy.